Hi everyone, welcome to this introduction to JQuery. I'm just going to give you some insight into how JQuery works and show you an example, and then you're free to go and play with JQuery. There's so much out there on the internet. JQuery is the latest set of JavaScript libraries that make it a little bit easier for web designers to put a bit of fun and interactivity into their web pages. If you're an expert JavaScript programmer, you probably don't need to know anything about jQuery. But for those of us who are not expert JavaScript programmers, jQuery makes it a little bit easier to do the complicated things quickly. Okay, that's really what it's all about. In today's tutorial, I am going to be using the Bootstrap framework for responsive web design. I've already set up in the body of my web page a row. This is a Bootstrap row, and inside my row I've set up one column here, and this column has two buttons in it. One button says hide the image and the other button says show the image. Notice that I'm just using normal p tags, but when I apply the class button, the Bootstrap class button, to the p tag, it will actually look like a button, and we'll see that in a minute. So there's my first column, and I've also got another column here, and it's just going to display an image, and I've applied the image responsive class to the image so that when the device size changes, the image will react to the device size and get bigger or smaller accordingly. So that's responsive web design, and I am using Bootstrap. Okay, so let's save my page and launch in Chrome. Oh, so I don't have two columns, and these don't look like buttons. So something is horribly wrong. Right. In the script section, not the script section, let's just get rid of that for a minute. We'll come back to that in a moment. In the head section of my web page, I don't have any links to the Bootstrap CSS sheet or the Bootstrap JavaScript library. And also I don't have a link to any jQuery libraries either. So we need to fix that. Let's just go to another tab. I'm going to go to W3 Schools, which is a pretty reliable place to find stuff, and I'm just going to go to the Bootstrap section of W3 Schools. Let's go to Get Started, and if we scroll down, we can access all of the information that we need, all of the libraries for jQuery and Bootstrap. We can access all that stuff through the Content Delivery Network. So let's just copy all that stuff, and I'm going to paste that into the head section of my web page. Just going to get rid of the comments, blah blah blah. I just want to try and reduce the amount of space that I'm using here. Nudge those together. Okay, so all of this stuff is in the head section of my web page. Excellent. Now to get started with jQuery, we need another thing in the head section of the page, which is a script area. So I'm just going to create that very quickly. Now, do you remember when we were playing with JavaScript, we put our script tags at the bottom of the page, just before the body tag. That's where we had our script tags. But jQuery is a little different because jQuery uses this. Let me just zoom in so you can see this. This is a little bit tricky, but you'll get used to it if you're interested in using jQuery. Something dot ready something. So what we're going to say is, alright, we're not going to allow the web page visitor to play with jQuery until the document is ready. The document has loaded beautifully, and then we can start playing with the jQuery. So that's what this is doing here. It's not quite complete. So we're going to target the document with this jQuery selector. This is a kind of, I think this is known as a selector. So we're selecting the document and we're saying, when you're ready, we will call a function. Now functions have round brackets, and the body of a function where we put our code has curly brackets. So this is our document.ready function call. And between these two curly brackets here is where we're going to put all of our code, all of our jQuery code. It's all going to go between those two curly brackets. So what you'll often see is that's the closing bracket is usually on a different line. There you go. So this is the document.ready function, which calls another function, and inside these curly brackets is where we're going to have our jQuery code. So we're ready to go. Brilliant. Now what I'm going to do is, when I click this button here, oh, by the way, let's just see if this worked. I've just included all of the links to the jQuery and the Bootstrap stuff. Let's save my page again and just run. Brilliant. Okay, so now I've got my two buttons. These are Bootstrap buttons, and I've got two columns. This is the first column here, and this is the second column here. And in the second column, I've got my chopper image. Alright, so that's working. Now when I click the hide the image button, which is this one, I want this image to hide. And when I click the show the image button, I want this image to show. So to give these two P elements a specific identity, I'm going to give them an ID. So this is hide but, and I'm going to give this one an ID of show but. Now I'm using IDs, but I could do this as a class. I could do it this way. This is just another option, and it's up to you to decide, and maybe experience will help you decide what the best options are. I could add an extra class name to the class list called hideBut. In fact, let's do it this way today. And this one, I'm going to add some extra class called showBut. Let's do it this way. And let's give the image another class as well. I'm just going to give the image another class of chopper. Okay? So let's do it this way. We're just going to use classes. Now then, let's select, using jQuery, we're going to select the hideBut button. And when we select that button, we're going to call a little function that will hide the chopper image. So let's do that inside our document.ready function. We're going to target, using a selector, the hideBut class. And we're going to say, when we click the hideBut element in the web page, we are going to call a function, round brackets, curly brackets, so when we click the hideBut element in my web page, this is a selector for the hideBut element. When we click it, we're going to call a function, and something will happen. Our code for the function is going to go into here. So let's just put that onto a new row, similar to what we did with the document.ready function. Okay? The code for this block here starts here and finishes here. Now, when I click the hideBut, I'm going to target the chopper class, and I'm going to call another function called the hide function, which has already been written for me. This is a jQuery function, and a very kind and friendly JavaScript developer has designed this function for me to use. And I can use it because it's inside this JavaScript library, which I'm linking to in the head of my web page. Okay? So I'm targeting the hide but button, and when I click it, something happens. The thing that happens is the chopper element is targeted. Remember, the chopper element is this image here. I've given it a chopper class, which I'm targeting here, and I'm calling a JQuery hide function. So let's save that and have a look at it in Chrome. Hide the image. Gone. And let's, inside our document.ready function, when this one is finished, I'm going to do another function call. This time I'm going to target the .showBut element that's in my web page. So the showBut element is the show the image button. That's this one here. So I'm going to target that using a JQuery selector, and I'm going to say when we click that element, we are going to call a function. There we go. And all of our code is going to go between the curly brackets. I'm going to target that image again, the chopper image, and we're going to call a JQuery function called show. So when we click the show button, we're going to run some code in this function, and the code that we're running is we're going to target the chopper image again, but this time we're going to use the JQuery function show. So let's save that and have a look at it in a web page. Hide the image, show the image. Hide the image, show the image. Okay? And that is an introduction to jQuery.